Hello, my name is Roshan Narayan, and thank you for joining us on In20. If you're watching us on YouTube, do
that back four and protect and pass the ball very, very simply. Really, if you put leg.
Happy New Year, and thank you for joining us on the show. Danny, I'm going to ask you, why do you look sweaty? It's a brand new year. Have you gotten off to a bad start or something?
No. Started the year well. Been out for a run. It's snowing here. It's about 1 degree, maybe 0. But yeah, new year, new start. Get out, get fit.
Yeah, it's been raining here the whole day, but I mean, our temperatures are a bit more easier, about 28 and above-ish. So it's a lot more easy to run about here, apart from if it rains really badly. It's been raining goals for Arsenal. It was a horrible game to play in terms of the weather. It was snowing and things like that. But have Arsenal found a replacement for Ashley Cole finally in that left-back position?
I think Kieran Tierney is a very, very good player. I said that when he came down and signed from Celtic. It's taken him a while to settle in. I think when he first arrived, obviously, he came with a bit of an injury. And then he got in the team, and then he got injured again, and that's never easy, to make that move to a big club, to a Premier League side, and then not have a pre-season, not be injured, then have COVID to deal with, and all these types of things. Suddenly now, I think we're starting to see not just the player that he is, but also the leadership and that solidity. I think he's got some way to go yet before he replaces Ashley Cole. Ash was one of the best. If not, for a time, the best left back in the world. But I think Kieran Tierney is certainly a fantastic player.
But you have to give it to him. That goal, come on, man, Danny, that was out of this world.
Oh, it was a fantastic strike. But if you remember, I scored a great goal once. Doesn't mean me a great player. Even average players score decent goals from time to time. But no, I think it's his performances. It just needs to be consistent now, and Arsenal needs to get some sort of consistency so they can keep moving forward.
I mean, that's the funniest thing. I mean, one day they're really good, then the next minute they're really bad. You've spoken about this on the show since the beginning, since Arteta took over. But one thing under Arteta is you're seeing a lot more youngsters come through the ranks. Did anyone pique your interest during that game?
Well, I think we've seen, the Rowe coming through, has played in quite a few Europa League games in the past. He looks a talent, but you have to start wondering, what's gone wrong when, Pepe, Lacazette, Aubameyang are not doing it, and you're having to go to unproven youngsters. It's great for the youngsters, but something's not quite right that those senior players aren't doing it, for Arsenal at the moment. So that's a little bit of a problem. But Rowe, I think, clearly he's a great talent. He's working very, very hard and making the most of his opportunities. But, it's easy to say that Arsenal are now on a great run and they're doing really well. It was against West Brom. We have to say that, who are struggling. Look at their last, they got battered against Leeds. They got absolutely battered again. Against Liverpool, they did really, really well, but they rode their luck at times. Liverpool had a bit of an off day. It's right to say that, Arsenal are, 23 points, 3 points behind Chelsea. Chelsea have a game in hand. And so, well, yeah, if they win that, but then you go, hang on. Well, if Burnley win their 2 games in hand, if Newcastle win their 2 games in hand, they're right on the coattails of Arsenal. So it's a very, very congested middle section of the Premier League table.
When I watch, you mentioned when he plays, his socks is down. It reminds me of Alexander Hleb, who used to play for Arsenal many years ago, him drifting in and drifting out. Do we need to give Saka a bit of time to grow? And, just actually, what it does remind me of? You remember when David Moyes took over United and Adnan Januzaj was the starlet of the show? He was running everything. It's almost something similar in nature, right?
Yeah, you have to remember that young players are going to be inconsistent. They're going to have spells where they are, brilliant for 2 or 3 games. And then they might go quiet for 2 or 3 games. Might even be longer than that. And it's difficult to manage. Look at what Sir Alex Ferguson used to do. Dip the players in and then take them out again. Even if they have a good game, have a little rest, be on the sidelines for the next game, just to ease them into that. Managers often go to senior players because it's about consistency. They know what they're going to get. There are some very, very talented young players, but they're unproven. Of course, it's a catch-22. You need opportunities and you need chances to prove that you can do it and you can keep doing it and you can become consistent. So, there's that side to it. But with young players, I think they do need protection from time to time, because I think now, especially in this world of social media and podcasts and whatever we are, vlogs or whatever it is, the world is sensationalist. It's either the best thing on the planet or disaster. There's no in between anymore, and I think it's difficult for young players sometimes to be judged in a balanced way.
Yeah, and there's something which also worries me, because you mentioned that the senior players aren't doing it. You always talk about Cesc Fabregas having Patrick Vieira when he started off, learning from him and, just picking up things. So who does Saka and Rowe learn from or pick things off from any of these senior players at Arsenal?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, Saka's an interesting one, because what's his position? I don't really know what his best position is.
On Wikipedia, it's left back or midfield. I kid you not.
Well, yeah, left back or midfield, or as a front three. It's almost anywhere on the left-hand side. This is the problem. That's great in one way, that you can play several different positions. But if you're going to learn and you're going to nail down a position, you have to be sort of more of a specialist in one area or the other. You can then float. You can then adapt after that. So, who does he look up to? I don't know. It's a difficult one, because not quite sure where he's going to play, where he wants to play, where his best position is. And then when you look at Rowe, are you looking up to Lacazette, Aubameyang, Pepe, Willian? Not really. Maybe Willian in terms of work rate, maybe Willian in terms of professionalism, but they're not doing it on the pitch at the moment. So it's very, very difficult. You always want senior players, and the likes of Zlatan. He goes into Manchester United, and he says, "Right, you young lads, you need to do this, because I do it all the time." And he puts it down to them, but he does it. He's performing week in, week out. The likes of Salah, Milner, even at Liverpool. Senior pros, and look, this is how you need to work. This is what I do, and they do it, and they perform. And then the young players will go, yeah, okay. At the moment, if Aubameyang or Lacazette or Pepe said to one of the young players, "Oh, this is what you need to do," do you really think they're going to go, "Oh, yeah," they're going to be all and go, "Yeah, that's exactly what I need to do"? No, they're not, because they're not doing it themselves at the moment.
Okay, they're not doing it either when I'm talking about West Brom and Sam Allardyce. Is he still that man to go into a club and set things right?
I think it's going to be very, very tough for him. But there are Sheffield United have gone. That's one good thing for West Brom. They're going to get relegated. So there's only 2 places left. It's going to be very, very tough, I think, for Big Sam. I think it's going to depend on if he gets any money in this transfer window, who he can bring in, whether that be loan deals, how creative can he be? Because at the moment, they are rock bottom. Confidence is just absolutely shattered. And it's very, very difficult to go in there and overcome that. If Fulham are to win that game, then certainly, or one of their games in hand, suddenly you're looking at, 6 points. That's 2 wins. West Brom haven't had 2 wins all season. So, where's that suddenly going to come from? How do you suddenly get 2 wins in 2? When it's taken you 17 games, so far. It's going to be very, very tough. But if anybody can, Big Sam can.
So when we just looked at the table, would you say that anyone from Burnley onwards, as in downwards, are in that relegation battle for you?
I think Newcastle will be okay.
Safe, right?
Yeah, again, because the players that they've got goals in them. They've got the ability to they can defend well. They will get enough points. They're halfway there, less than half the games played. That's how they're ahead of schedule. I would say my bottom 3 now come from Burnley and lower down. Burnley, Brighton, Fulham, West Brom, because Sheffield United have gone. They ain't getting out of it.
Okay, fair enough. You actually mentioned to me, I think at the start of the season, that you expected Leeds to be in 14th. Burnley is there. That game against Tottenham, okay, fine. I wouldn't say it was a whitewash, but there was one moment when I watched it, I said, shouldn't Leeds have had a penalty? Now, in this modern day and age where anything that touches the hand, especially when the ball touches the hand in the penalty box, it's a penalty, correct? So I mean, the ball definitely did what hit the hand. So, I mean, hit the leg and then hit the hand. But is it a penalty for you? Would you have liked it to be a penalty?
Yes, as a Leeds fan. No, as an ex-player, and no as a pundit, and no as a fan. I think obviously the interpretation of the law has changed slightly, and they've gone back to if the hand is in a natural position. You know, is it close to the body? Is it away from the body? It's still unbelievably confusing. I think Einstein would have trouble working this out. You know, it's really difficult. You know, some of the equations that come into it, you know, is Archimedes level. I don't know. I do not know what they're going through. You know, it's almost impossible to work out what handball is and what it isn't. The easiest thing to do. The easiest thing to do on the planet is Mike Riley, head of the referees, to come out on a Monday morning and say, right, look, this is why that decision was not given, or this is why that decision was given. We might not all agree with it. We might not, you know, we might not, I don't agree with him. But at least we then have a clearer picture of why it wasn't given. At the moment, we're all just sort of going,
it's never going to happen.
Well, no, but we live in an emoji world, don't we? Of like, you know, penalty.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. We just don't know. Why is it not? Why one week is it a penalty? Why the next week is it not? Like, we just don't know.
Here's a scenario. Now, I mean, these are not going to get relegated. I mean, you have testified to that. But if they were in a situation where it could have been do or die, and it's not given, a penalty wasn't given to them, but next week another team, a similar team, maybe the top three teams, gets a penalty given in a similar circumstance, that is a problem, isn't it? The inconsistency.
And this is the problem, because you're always going to have a subjective nature, you know, of decisions. Handball has always been subjective. It's always been a matter of opinion about what you think. It keeps changing and it keeps getting worse. You know, it's supposed to be simplified every single year, and it's not. And this is why, you know, it's like anything. If you turn up to the airport and your flight is delayed, the worst thing is not knowing why or how long. You know, if you turn up and say, oh, there's a 5-hour delay, and actually, well, it's because there's an engine broken and it's this, that, and the other, and you go, you know what, that's really annoying. I'm really grumpy, but it is what it is. I understand the situation. At the moment, referees just going, not a penalty. Why? Or it is a penalty. Why? Give people more information. Give fans the respect that they deserve, that they can handle that truth, that they can deal with that. Of course, not everyone's going to agree. It's life. It's football. It's all about opinions. But at least if you know the thinking behind the decision, at least you can go somewhere to going, okay, at least I understand why they came to that decision.
Fair enough. Is it time for Bielsa to make a decision in terms of he needs to change something? At least it's always plan A and it's bombing forward. Some fans are starting to turn in terms of maybe he needs to be a bit more rational in his approach. Do you think he'll change his style of play?
No.
But isn't it detrimental? There has to be a bit of reality once in a while, correct?
There should be, but there isn't, and there won't be. It's how Marcel Bielsa is. You know, they've got, what have they got at the moment? You know, 23 points, 17 games. You know, they need 15 points to be safe. Yeah, they're going to get that. You know, that's not a problem. Between now and the end of the season, they're going to win 5 games. And they're going to get some draws in there as well. That's not an issue. I was listening to an interview with Matthias Klick the other day, and, you know, there was the Fulham game was the perfect example. You know, 4-1 up, shut up shop. Just go, you know what? That's it. Win the game 4-1. You've done brilliantly, win the game. But they continue to attack at 4-1. They keep piling forward. And then it becomes 4-2. Then it becomes 4-4. And even then they don't shut up shop. They keep going forward. And they get to 4-3. And then it's very, very dangerous. But he says himself, he says, look, this is our way. This is what the manager wants. This is how the manager believes we should play. And this is what we will keep doing. So, however entertaining it is, as a fan, I've said all along, Leeds will win some games and they will score a lot of goals in some games, and there'll be other games where they get beaten heavily. But I think at the moment their goal difference is -3, and people are saying, they are one of the most entertaining teams around. They are, because of the work rate, because of they will score goals, they will concede goals. If you're a neutral, watching Leeds is absolutely brilliant, because as a game of football, it's tremendous. But I just think, if you want to go to that next level, and after this season maybe start to climb up the table, you either have to buy in much better players, and you have to look at what Manchester City have done and played a similar sort of style with obviously Guardiola, and what Barcelona did with Guardiola. But they were the best players in the world doing that. And that's why they could get away with it, and that's why they could get 100 points and win games week in, week out. Leeds don't quite have that quality yet.
Manchester City are playing Chelsea later on. So let's be frank. I came up with that. Does Frank Lampard get away with a lot more than compared to the likes of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Mikel Arteta, even Mark Bielsa as well? There has to be some point in time where everyone goes like, it's only one win in his last few games. He's got City, like I said, away later on in a few hours. There's got to be something there you go by like, why isn't he getting hammered by the press?
I think he is. I think he's getting his fair share.
Chris. Come on, Danny. Compared to the others, which I mentioned, the names.
Over in England, he's getting his fair share of criticism. And you run through social media, and there are an awful lot of questions asked. Frank knows that he's under pressure, but up until this point, or up until the last 5-6 games, they went 17 games unbeaten. They were on a fantastic run. Does he get a little bit more leeway because he's a Chelsea? Yes, from some quarters, just as Arteta does for being at Arsenal, just as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does for being at Manchester United. But there becomes a point, the problem is, if they win today, they go third. It's not that bad, is it? That's the problem at the moment. The table is so congested. We're not really in January in terms of football season. We're in November. Okay. So because we're not halfway through the season yet because of COVID and the delay to the start of the season. So if they were to win today and go third, that's not bad.
Yeah, but
if they lose, it's disaster. Yep. And this is the whole point. Because this table is so congested. Tottenham were top. How many games? I can't remember how many games ago it was. Yeah. 4 or 5. Yeah. And then they dropped to 8th. It's incredible what can happen in just a couple of weeks at the moment. But yeah, Frank is under pressure. He knows that. He has to be in the top 4 this season. Yeah. And if he's not in the top 4 come the end of the season, then question will be seriously asked.
Fair enough. We will continue this next week based on the result today. We've got 2 more minutes. It has to be a quick one. I came across this article, Phil Foden to Real Madrid. Is he good enough to go to Real Madrid? Will he start in today's game against Chelsea?
I just don't know with Phil Foden. We keep hearing about he's one of the best players that Guardiola has ever worked with. He's incredible young talent. I just want to see him play 10 games in a row. He's got a brilliant left foot. The way that he drifts in, he needs games. We've been talking about Foden now for 4 years, 5 years. Yeah. I don't think he's ever played 5 games in a row in the Premier League. Why not? He's now where he's a mental maturity, a physical maturity, where he should be able to do that. Pep has to start trusting and put him in. We've seen him play in big games. We've seen him play in the Champions League. We've seen him play sensational in the Premier League. He just needs that belief and a few run of games, because he'll have 2 great games and then an average game, and then he might get rested. Sometimes you just have to leave him in, get through those 2 average games, and then he'll have another great game off the back of that, just like any other player does.
So if he does have a good run, would he be good enough to go to Real Madrid? The likes of Real Madrid, at least.
He needs to show that consistency, and he needs a run of games to do that. He's got all the potential in the world, incredible talent, but we've not seen enough of it.
All right, Danny, thank you very much. That is 20 minutes. I hope you can go have a shower right now in your lovely country over there where the temperature is about 0 or -5 or whatever it is. It's been a pleasure. Happy New Year, my friend. I shall see you next week.
Cheers, Roshan.
All right. Don't forget to catch us on at least the highlights on our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram page. Till the next time, take care.